Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video. This week's going to be part 3 of the Deathmatch series. I am limited for time this week, again unfortunately, but I have been posting on Wednesdays, so hopefully that should make up for it. I reckon I've got about a 20-minute time limit, so I'm going to try and cram in as much as possible. So where we left off was we added like the damage, sort of the causer of the damage. Now this only worked for if the damager was a UE4 character, which obviously when we walk into our pain cube would cast as a fail, because that's not what's killed us. So the kill count will only work once the AI is set up, so for now we're going to leave that. But one thing I think would be good is if, as we kill the characters, it'd be good if we could have some sort of scoreboard come up to sort of show which characters got how many kills, how many deaths, and I think we should start by designing the scoreboard, and then we can think about linking it up with data afterwards. And because we're already recording sort of kills and deaths, we should be able to link this one up fairly simple. Now, I haven't fully thought about how we're gonna have the how the game is gonna run. I don't know whether I'm gonna try and, because it's just with bots, I don't know if I'm gonna try and keep it within a single game mode, which I might put the data capture in a game mode, or whether I should go for a client and server, and then run the bots in like a separate client. Not thought about that yet. Anyway, I don't want to get into that too much because we're limited for time as it is, so let's just crack on. So I'm going to go back to the first person folder. I'm going to open up the HUD folder, and essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another widget for our scoreboard. Well, actually, yeah, let's do the scoreboard. So create a user widget, call it scoreboard. I've put boards obviously because I always have to make one spelling mistake. Open up the scoreboard, and let's go for desired on screen. Desired on screen just stops it from filling the entire viewport. But then we're actually going to need to put something in here to tell it what size to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to one of the panels, and I'm going to drag in a size box. That size box, I'm actually going to size to content, but I'm going to override the width. So this is sort of vertically, it's gonna just keep getting as big as it needs to be, but the width should remain this overridden value, which I'm going to put 1000, which is, you know, just enough for me. I think it's wide enough to get a good bit of information in there. And so far I'm only going to put like a player number, a kill amount, and a death amount, so that should be fine for now. So inside the size box, I want to put some color in this. I want to give it a subtle backdrop, so I'm actually going to scroll to the top. I'm going to chuck in a border, because that's something that you can change the color of nice and easily. So let's chuck that in there, and then with the border selected on the right, I'm just going to change the color of it. So underneath the appearance and then brush color, I'm going to go for like a lightish blue, maybe a bit darker there. That looks nice. And then I'm actually going to set the opacity to half, so 0.5. The opacity is how see-through it is, and it's actually classed as alpha. So 0 is going to be invisible and 1 is going to be full color. So 0.5 is about halfway. You can't quite, well, you can just see that just about, but that'll get bigger as we put more stuff in it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a horizontal box in here. Now a horizontal box restricts stuff from left to right, so if I put 3 texts in, they'll be next to each other. and I'm going to have a player title, a kills title, and a deaths title, just so then when we get the scoreboard cards in, like each person that joins the game, they'll drop underneath, and it'd be nice to understand. So to hold all these texts, I'm going to use a horizontal box. Drop that on your border, and then anything that you put on the horizontal box now will be stacked nicely. So I'm going to scroll back to the top, grab some text. I'm going to chuck 3 of them in, and then inside the text, I'm just going to put some default text for now. So player X. Well, actually, no, it's not default text. This is going to be the actual text we're going to read. And then kills, and then deaths. You can put whatever you want. You know, you can put them in whatever order you want. But I'm going to go for player name, kills, and deaths, and that's pretty much it. And then obviously, because this naturally wants to save space, it's squished everything up. And you know, just a little tip for horizontal boxes: when you select something, you can click these arrows and it'll change the order of them, but we don't need to do that. Right, so I actually want the player name to take up the majority of the space, and then kills and deaths just to be like sort of here and here. And what we can do is the size at the moment is set to auto, so that just it only requests, well, I'll read the description. It only requests as much space as it needs based on the widget size. So kills is a short word, so it only needs that little space. But we can actually say, well, if I click fill, it'll take up the amount of space that I tell it to. So so greedy attempts to fill all the available room based on its percent. So 1% is like, I want to try and fill all of it, which that's all right, because we're going to tell these two to try and steal some space as well. So I'm going to set both kills and deaths to fill, but then 0.3. So that's tried to take up a third of the space, and then deaths I'm going to do the same, 0.3. And I think the space in between them two, trying to take up a third each, and then the player X takes up whatever's left. I think that spacing works out absolutely brilliant. Now, the other problem that I'm seeing here is that the text is right up against the edge. I don't personally like that, so I'm going to go to my padding, and I'm actually going to type in 10 and just see what that does to all of it. And I think that now pushes everything in just nicely. Yeah. So, that was the horizontal box. Now, what I actually want to do is I want to add a list underneath. So every time somebody joins, I can just add an item to the list, which is a player, and then hopefully each player should be responsible for keeping a track of their own kills and deaths and just telling the scoreboard when that changes. That's my idea. So actually, so what I'm going to do is, because I can't put anything inside the horizontal box because that won't work, and you can only put one object inside a border. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to wrap this horizontal box in a vertical box. So if you right click and wrap with, you'll be given the option vert box. So a vertical box stores stuff vertically, so the horizontal box has become one of its assets. And then if I go down to lists and find list view and drag that into vertical box, that's now put it underneath. And so now, hopefully, if I create a scorecard with a similar sort of format to the text, we can have them list underneath. And that's pretty much the scoreboard created. So we'll hit compile and hit save. We've got an error now, and it says the list view has no entry widget class specified, and it's required for any list view base to function. So basically what it's saying is this list needs something to display. Like, you can't have an empty list. Well, you can, but it needs to know, like, if something was to be added to it, if it's going to be the right thing, and it needs to be an entry widget class. So let's create one. So with the list selected, if you scroll down on the right, you'll get list entries. and at the moment the entry widget class is set to none. If you click on that, you won't see anything usually. If you press this plus, you'll get the option to make one. So I'm going to go to first person, I'm going to go to HUD, and I'm going to change the name to scorecard. Press OK. That's going to create you a scorecard. Now, one thing I will just tell you, this has now been defined as a scorecard, and 5 of them have been put there by default, but at the moment they're blank, so it's showing. I've changed that to 3, but 5's the default. They're currently blank, so they're not displaying. If I just chuck a text in randomly and press compile and go back, you'll see we've got 5 widget previews, but they're just texts, so it's just blank for now. So let's reverse that, and again go to desired on screen. Under the scorecard, I'm going to put a size box, or should I start with a border and let's get some colour in there? Yeah, let's do that. Let's start with a border. Yeah, am I going to regret that with a size box being size to content? Let's try and put a size box on top of that and see what happens. Okay, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out the right way that I'm expecting, so let's undo that. Let's put a size box in first. And is this going to work? Am I going to need a canvas panel first? Let's add a canvas panel. I mean, normally they come default with a canvas panel, which is bizarre. Let's add a size box. Select the size box, size to content, width override, and let's set that to 1000. Let's now add a border, and let's, instead of blue, let's colour this one. I'm just going to colour this one sort of like a peachy colour. 0.5 for my alpha again, or the opacity, so semi-transparent. And then I'm going to chuck in a horizontal box, and then inside that I'm going to put the text. Text. First one's going to be player X. Second one's going to be kills, and the third one's going to be deaths. So let's set up that spacing. Let's set that to fill. Let's set the kills to fill 0.3, and let's set the deaths to fill 0.3. 0.3. Okay, let's compile. And I haven't put the padding in yet. I'm just going to see what it looks like. So it's slightly off. So I am going to go back now, and on my horizontal box I'm going to put 10. Compile. Let's go back to the scorecard. Do I like that? I don't think I do. So I'm going to set them to 0. Hit compile. Let's have a look. Okay. If you want it in line, I guess you could remove your paddings. So where did we put that padding? Was that on the vert box? Oh, that might have been why then. I don't think I wanted that on there. Where do we want that padding? You know what, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to worry about that. You can adjust this how you want, you know, but essentially now you've got your main header, and then for every player that joins, you know, well, we've not programmed that yet, but in theory, for every player that joins, you're going to have a new card. So, you know, you'd probably have 1 player, then 2 player, then 3 player, and just, you know, yeah, and that can grow. Obviously, you want to limit. You're not going to have 70 people in your game. I wouldn't like to think so. If you do, I probably wouldn't have done a scoreboard like this, or To be honest, actually, you can set up a scroll box. I think this will scroll after a bit. Let's check that out. Can we set that to 50? No. Oh, well, this is a preview, but you get the point. I think it will scroll after a little bit, but either way. Let's set some of this data up, because I think we can set some of it up straight away. So I'm going to go back to the scorecard now, and I'm going to select kills. And then on the right hand side, you'll see text, and where we've written kills, we're just going to click bind. And this is basically going to set up a function for getting this data. So here it is. So basically it's saying, right, I start, and then to finish, I want an input type of what text should I display. So I could put Stephen, hit compile. If I go back, to the design, when we can we simulate? Simulate. Okay, so simulations are working, but yeah, the kills will change to Stephen. We don't want that. We want the kills. So let's just first right click, rename, and let's set this to update kills text, just so it's what we want. And then what we should do is we should get player character, and then we'll cast to the first person character. The reason I'm using this is because it will get you as a character, and then because you're the only one that's going to need to see the HUD, so that's fine. And then as that character, we want to get kills, and then as kills, plug that in and it will convert it for you. Yep. So basically we're casting to you, we're getting your kills, and we're going to put that in as the kills. Hit compile. Let's go back to the designer, let's select defs, let's go to create binding, and again I'm just going to rename this to update defs text. Drag this out. Now you could have copy and paste this, but just for the sake of it, get player character, cast to UE4. Apologies, I'm doing this a little bit quick here. I am conscious of time and I want to get as much in as I can. Defs. If I am going a little bit too quick for you, at this point I'd recommend you just slow the video down a little bit. I'll sound a little bit funnier, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's go back to the designer. Now we've got player. Now this one's going to be a little bit tough at this point of the video because I have not decided what game mode or how to handle data or like additional characters. So let's just make a start by renaming this and update player name, let's say. And for this, easiest way to go about it. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about it. What I'm going to do is, if you right click and do append, what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to have some form of player, and then I'm probably going to get sort of like a character number. So if there's like 4 of the same character in the game, each one's going to have a unique number. At the moment I'm just going to default this to 0, but obviously this would pull from like get player display name or something like that, but I don't know how I'm going to work this just yet. This could work. I'm scared if something doesn't work right here. Sometimes with the HUD it's a little bit of a pain, and I've crashed it in the past and I'm worried about that, I'll be honest. Hopefully that's not required. Yeah, let's see what I'm gonna press save all because I'm a bit worried. So they're all gonna update. So that should be fine now. I'm just gonna close that, but open up the scoreboard, and I'm gonna go to the graph, and essentially when we construct the heads-up display, when this scoreboard is constructed, we want to add stuff to the list. Not before it's constructed. This is pre-construct. We don't want that, and we don't want on tick. But when it's constructed, we want to get all the players in the game, and then we want to add item. Add items, but that's not the right one. We actually want the list. So grab your list from the side, drag that in, get list, and do add. So now you've got list view, add item. Just drag that in. Now what we're going to end up doing, but again I don't want to do it just yet because you know it may cause complications, is like get all actors of class, and then we're going to specify UE4 ASP, and then for each, what this will do would be for every one of this type of character in the game, we're going to add an item, but then each item is going to need to be slightly adjusted to each of, so each list item, each scorecard is going to have that character's name, that character's kills, and that character's deaths, and they need to be adjustable. So there's a bit, it's not as straightforward as just linking this straight in, unfortunately, but we're going to go to it, we're going to get there with some effects like this, but for now let's just add one. But make sure to select your item from the list. So for this we want scorecard. So we're just adding a single scorecard. The other thing is this scorecard won't by default go on your screen. So we need to open up your HUD container with your ammo count and your health bar. And again, similar to how you added these, scroll down on the left, go to user created, and you've now got scoreboard. Drag that in. Now I'm going to pin it to the center because I always want it to pop up in the sort of center of the screen. So I'm going to select the top, center, I'm going to hold shift and then control. You might get away with just pressing control, but I've just got a habit of doing that now. And I'm going to put the Y position down by 150, just about there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the behavior and set its visibility to collapsed. Hit compile, and just to test it I'm going to hit play and nothing should be visible. Because I've set it to collapsed, it shouldn't be visible. Now what we need to do in our character, so I just zoomed out there. So this is in our character. If you remember, we made this reference to our HUD, which with that reference we can tap into this scoreboard and make it visible. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to press tab actually. Tab. Now when we've pressed it, we want to set the scoreboard to visible. So get your HUD reference. Find your scoreboard, and then when you've pressed, we want to set vis to visible. That'll do. And when we release the key, we want to do the same thing. So you can press Control C, Control V, which is copy and paste, or you can press Control and W with it selected, and that is duplicate. So you can duplicate that, but this time we want it to be collapsed, and then set that to released. your target, don't forget to wire that up, because that's going to be your scoreboard. Now, when we compile and we play and go in the game and hold shift, we've now got our player with 0 kills and 0 deaths. And then if we kill this guy, you can see it's now updated to the amount of kills I've got. Now, I've noticed the player name hasn't worked, so I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go to the first person example map. I'm going to go to the scorecard, go to the graph, and unfortunately this one hasn't worked, so I'm just going to link this up, and I'm just going to put this to player 0 for now, and just so it has something in there that works. There you go, player 0. Now here's another thing I want to show you. Because we've not set the game mode up, our character is responsible for his own stat count. Now, when we die, well, I've actually died twice there, which is a bit of an issue, so we need to fix that. Yeah, when we die, we're going to need to respawn our character. Now, because our character handles his own sort of statistics, when we respawn him, they'll get reset to 0. So I'm probably going to have to move the stat count to the game mode, or I'm setting up a game state and a player state to monitor that. But we'll get into that. So let's just fix that death count actually, because I think I know what's caused that. So I'm going to close the hood and the container now. So let's just highlight this, hit comment, and let's put scoreboard. And actually we're going to be sure scoreboard. And I know I capitalized that B, but it's bugging me a little bit. Okay, so we need to look for that death counter. So what I think is happening is my character is standing on top of that pain cube and receiving damage, and then that killed him. Now, when my character died, they then fell on top of that pain cube once more and took even more damage. Now, because of the way that this script works, is if my health is less than 0 and I take more damage, I die again. And the problem is with die is once it's done this, it's adding a death every time. So if I die but then land back on the same cube that made me die, or if I get shot when I'm dead, my deaths are going to keep going up. So in theory we only want to do this once. But where can we put it? So what I'm actually thinking is, if I just disconnect that, hold my deaths up, and get back on this cube, so my death stayed at 1 now. So what I'm thinking is that that false actually caused us to, it was there as a failsafe, but I think it's actually caused us some issues there. So let's get rid of that. And that makes that blueprint simpler anyway. And now at this point we can just move that up into that space, pull that over there like that. Yep, that's fine. Okay. And I think the kills might actually do the same thing. So if I kill this guy, let's keep that open, killed him, and if I keep shooting him, okay. I thought for a second there that might happen. I thought if I keep shooting the guy's corpse, my kills might keep going up. But oh yes, the kills are handled on. The kills are handled by this, aren't they? Okay, that works pretty well. What time are we on? Oh, I'm on 29 already. unfortunately I'm going to have to leave it there. I do apologise that this episode was very short. I will make it back up to you somehow. I'll definitely be posting on the Wednesday again, and hopefully I've got time to get I'll probably get a full hour in and try and cover off quite a lot of things. I do like to explain everything in a way that you'll be able to, use that for many other things. I don't like just doing. I've watched a lot of tutorials that are just do as I do and you'll have the game that you want. I don't like that. I like explaining what stuff does, because then you understand it, and if you understand it you can make anything with it. But anyway, thanks for watching. If I remember this time, I'm going to put some social media links down below. It'd be cool if you want to check them out. Consider commenting, and if you want to follow along, consider subscribing. That's it from me. Thanks for watching again. I'll see you in another video.